Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, welcome to my stream, welcome to another chapter working on this guy here. And that's our Su-35S Flanker E148 scale. I'll roll that intro and let's get started, okay? Alright. We're back, and if I seem a bit flustered, it's because I am. Just having a lot of technical difficulties in the last few episodes that I've been doing, and it's being a little bit frustrating. But that's neither here nor there. We're here to work on a model kit. So let's do a little recap here. We got our cockpit bucket, or tub, whatever you'd like to call it. I've got it all painted blue now that it's supposed to be. I got that one little panel put back on there, so that's there now. I've got our ejector seat all nicely assembled and painted with the seat belts on there, also painted and on there. It's basically ready for assembly, except for one little piece. I got to paint that black. That's the C60. I got to paint that black. So let's just do that right now while I'm talking about it, so by the time I get to actually installing it, the paint will be dry. Alrighty. This stuff really does get crusty along the edges, right along the edge of the jar there. I got my C tree. That is C60. This guy here. This guy just needs to be black. According to the instructions, just paint it all black. Now I did remember in episode 1, going through the instructions, there's that one sheet that has some corrections on there in regards to the cockpit. It does reference a little bit of colors that I guess when they originally printed the instructions, they had everything as just, you know, that cockpit, Russian cockpit blue. And there's actually a few parts in there that are supposed to be gray. Other than that, I don't see much difference. And also, remember when I was putting on these two panels on the front of it here and here, how they were backwards in the diagram? Well, they point that out in the correction sheet also. So they corrected themselves there. Obviously, they didn't want to reprint the page, but everything else is fine. Yeah, so that is painted. So I will change the camera. I'll clean up this mess here. I'll change the camera to the overhead camera so you can see what our assembly is going to be like here. All right, so we'll do this and change my glasses out. Alrighty, so we've got our seat assembled, and I've even got our piece on the back, this guy here, painted it blue and put it on there. Okay, so here's our seat. Okay, if I do this, maybe it'll show you, you can see a little bit of detail on there. Yeah, there's our seat with the seat belt. Okay, so that's all done. Now there's some decals to go on there. I'm not really going to bother. It's tiny little decals. Again, I'm not really see it in there, so I'm not going to bother. Just little tiny details. I don't care about it. If you want to put them on there, that's all good for you. Okay, like I said, we've got this part of the bucket done. I'll actually take a look at that. Where did I put that sheet? The correction sheet. I have it here somewhere. I must have lost it in my pile of stuff. I got a lot of sheets for this particular plane. Here it is. The correction sheet for the cockpit shows these pieces in the proper orientation. And I guess once we get to it with our rear stabilizers, obviously there's going to be some stuff going on with those. Okay, but we'll deal with that another time. Don't have to deal with that now. Okay, so with this done, we're going to put in our instrumentation and all this fun stuff. our little controls, things like that, especially this one in the middle, I-12, so we're going to grab the I tree. I did paint these ahead of time. So we have I-12. This guy here. Okay, I-12. We need I-11, and that is white. Where is I-11? This guy here. Okay, it's I-11. That's going to go on top of I-12, but I'll put I-12 in as whole first. We're going to need I-25 and I-45. I-25 is this guy right here. I believe this guy is our throttle control. This guy here. And then we need I-45. This guy here, and he's silver. There we go. So there's all our little guys that are going to go inside. So, grab our glues. I'm going to do a test fit on this guy first, just to see how he's going to fit. Is he going to be happy to go in his home, or am I going to have to shove him in there? He looks like he's going to be very happy to go in his home. And with the hole going right through the bottom, that'll be a bit of a challenge to get it in there. So I'll use this glue. I can actually put him in there by hand. Which is a nice little change. There we go. Now, here's the challenge, is putting this I-11 right on top of the top of them. This one is going to be a bit of a challenge with all our little dippity-doos facing forward, just like in the picture. That. Sits like that. Very interesting little joystick they got going on in the middle of this cockpit. Okay, so then we have this guy. He's going to go right here. And the challenge with him is he's got to go through our panel that we put on there. And so, let's try and get him oriented in the direction he's supposed to go. Sure, that works. He's supposed to go right there. And he actually fits in there. Wow, I'm pleasantly surprised with this. And how it wants to. It's very cooperative. And then we have our third one, this I-45, going down over here beside our display. It looks like it's supposed to go right here, but there doesn't seem to be much of a mold for it where it's supposed to actually go. Looks like, see, this is supposed to be facing forward. It's supposed to go like this, like right there. I'll just put some glue on him and I'll put him there. It's supposed to go right here. like that. So try and get that up in there. If the camera will focus. Come on, camera, focus. Here. It'll focus there. There we go. Just like that. Okay. So that's that. Now with that all done, we're going to do a couple of panels. Ooh, I-15. I-15. Let's take a look at I-15. I did not notice I-15. Let's see. I gotta find my eye. Where's my eye? I-15 looks like a pretty big panel. That probably my little kit. Oh, you know what? That's probably this guy. That's that guy there. I-15 goes against I-5, which is this. That's these two. This guy off of his little nub. And he's got to go. Let's see, how do they want him oriented? Just like that. So he's just going to go into that little nub. Right in there, like that. Now we do want it straight, we don't want it crooked. Straight as we can get it. There we go. There's our little display. I'll take the nub off of there. Alright. Okay, there's that. Alright, so we got our main display. That is this guy here. And these two little tabs are going to go into the two holes here and here. Because of the paint, it's a nice tight fit, but it fits. There we go. Just make sure. Give it a good squeeze. Yep. Alright. So a little glue here. And a little glue here. And that ought to seal the deal, so to speak. There's not much distance between the joystick and the display panel. So this is done. Now they show a bunch of decals that you could put on here. Of course, we don't need to put decals because we've replaced it all with all that fun stuff. But they do give you decals if you wanted to do that stuff and make it look like it's actually lit up and on display, like the plane's actually turned on. Okay, so this little guy here, he has to go into the middle of the main display. So he's going to go up top here like this and just kind of sit in the middle. It looks like he's supposed to slide in. It would have been easier to do prior to putting the display board in. So I'm going to remove this so that I've actually got room to work here. And in fact, this guy is moving around on me in the middle. I have a feeling I'll be removing him and redoing him. I don't quite have the room in between my two panels here, so I got to do a little bit of shaving. Got to do a little shave right here. Now, I'm pretty sure, had I not used the Red Fox Studios things, I wouldn't be having to do this. Or if I had installed this first and then put the Red Fox Studio stuff on later, then they would line up right against the edge of it and it would be fine. But as such, I've got a super tight tolerance in there and it doesn't really want to fit, but I got it. Alright, it's so tight I almost don't need glue, but I'm going to glue it anyway. Right along there. And down at the bottom here, just for good measure. There we go. Okay. Now we can glue this guy back in. Whoops. Now we can glue this guy back in. Put him back in his new home. It says, you gave me a home and then you took me out. And I was just starting to enjoy it. Now that exposes the off-centeredness of my joystick. So I'll make that a little bit centered better. There we go. Okay. Now before I cover this up, I'll show you guys. Right there. This is my display panel. Just like that. Okay. Because we got these two sides, C72 and 73, that are going to go along here and kind of cover up a lot of this stuff. That's these two guys here that I've got painted khaki brown. There we go. These two guys, they go in these little notches here on the sides, like this. Just like that, and just sit there like that. Just like that. So glue on there, glue on the edge. Now most of this, I painted it blue, but it's basically going to get covered up and disappear. Now I'm not getting a really great fit on here, so we'll see when it comes time to actually installing the cockpit and everything. We'll see, maybe I'll run into some fitment issues, I don't know. But I got a big gap there. You see that big gap along there? That's, yeah. And it seems like it's just the instrumentation getting in the way of it. Let's see what the other side's like. Looks like the instruments are a little bit spaced a little further apart on this side. Well, no, it's basically the same. Not much different. much different at all. Okay, so that is it, guys. Now you can see why I wanted to show you that, because now you've got those walls in there. Covers up a lot. You don't really get to see very much anymore, at least from a top view. You get some obscured, your vision is obscured down here. Once it's in the actual pod, I'm sure it's going to be even less. This is out of curiosity. I took the top of the fuselages off. I'm just curious to see. I know it's going to sit in right around there. In fact, there's two little buttons at the top there. I'm pretty sure that's going to line up right in there. Something like this. Which they don't even line up. They don't line up. But that's probably it. And so now you don't see a lot, but yeah, it's there. And with it like that, I actually would like to see. It's interesting. Anyway, it shows I'm not going to have to paint anything in here because you can't see any of it. Although I do have to paint this part here, this same cockpit blue. That's got to be painted blue, which is why I took this off the sprue and primed it, because I got to paint this blue. And so that basically finishes off this page. Our cockpit is assembled, so step 1 is done. We can take a look at the next step. Oh, well, guess what? I do have to paint it. And I actually got to paint that black. Or do I? No. This is supposed to be the interior blue, and then C-33, that one spot. This is a little confusing. It's like they're pointing at this being the blue, and then this spot right here being black. So what the heck, guys? What's it supposed to be? See, they show the line going right to this spot here, right here. So only this little dot is supposed to be blue, and the rest of it's supposed to be black? What the heck are they talking about? And then this piece is supposed to go down on here. That is C-49, and they're calling for C-117, which is, I have to look at what my call out is for that. That's a special gray, I think. Interesting. You know, that's why it's good to do your research, especially before I start putting all this stuff together. I do have C-50 that's supposed to go in the side here. Why they make this a separate piece, I don't know, but there it is. So let's find C-50. And I might as well get C-53 too while we're at it. C-50, where are we? It's 53. C-50 right here. Okay, C-50 and C-53. No. Yeah, I need C-53. It's this guy here. And I need C-49. Okay, so what do I have to cut off of here? I gotta get rid of this. They have it undergated. Look at that, they undergated it. And we got ejection mold. See, undergated. Bing. See, now I don't have to do any cleanup along this edge because it was connected on the bottom here. I still have to clean up the bottom, otherwise it might not fit flush. And be careful, because you don't want to bend the pieces like I just did. These were kind of undergated also. They're connected right underneath here on this angle. There we go. And let's clean these up right to the tip they're supposed to be at. There we go. Okay, so this guy is supposed to go on the nose and the side. He's got to go in here. Like this. So it looks like that. Looks like the refueling tube. That's what that looks like. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that is the refueling tube on our little plane here. Right there. Okay. Let that dry for a sec while we deal with this. We gotta clean this up. A lot of nice rivet detail on this piece. There's really a lot of nice detail all over this kit. I will say, Great Will Hobbies, they do make some nice kits. In fact, I like them so much, I actually have ordered another F-15. F-15C to build to complement my Tamiya F-15C. Not sure when I'll build it, but one day. Okay, so this guy's got to go in here. It's got to go like that. That's a really nice snug fit. It fits absolutely perfect. Cannot complain about that, other than I got to clean up that a little bit. So let's pull them back out, just so my lines are smooth. Whoop. I'm going to use my razor file on that, just so I get a nice smooth edge. That's beautiful. Beautiful. I love this thing. Let's knock over my piece, eh? Why not? Let's get that on there. I'm going to flip it over, and I'll just put glue on the tabs underneath here where it's gone through. Now it makes sense why the cockpit didn't fit on those two little holes, because that's not where it's supposed to go. Pieces here, just run along this line there, get this one lined up, just hold it on there. There we go. So we've got this in. Now we're going to put our little cap on the back here. This guy's going to go like this. Just like that. and my camera cut out for some reason. Not sure why my camera just cut out. See what I mean? I'm having technical difficulties with cameras these days. And just over and over again, problems. So there we go, we got our cap on. And now we can put in our cockpit. So our cockpit, those two little pegs that are on the top that I showed you guys that I thought were going to go in those holes are actually going to go in these new holes that are put there now that this piece is in. This piece has two holes right on the tip. And that's where we're going to line it up. Oh, okay, and then we've got two holes here and here. And that's where our two front pegs are going to go in. So you can actually line those up. You can line those up pretty easy. And there we go, that's how it's going to line up. But I'm going to have to, before I actually glue the cockpit in, I'm going to have to determine whether this is supposed to be blue or whether that's supposed to be black, because that is confusing what they have done here. I don't know if it's just a little spot that's supposed to be blue, if it's the whole thing, or just this ridge around it, or what. I'm going to have to look at some reference photos and figure that out before I glue this in. In the meantime, let me see if I can figure out what's wrong with my camera. Okay, so I'm going to skip this for now. We're going to work on our radar dish. Okay? And so there's a few pieces that all need to go together, and then I'm going to paint them insignia white. So I'm going to fire up my air compressor, and we're going to get these pieces assembled. Okay? Off of our C tree also. C is our main tree. We want number 1 and 3 and 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to assemble them all. Okay, so that's going to be all these guys. 1, 2. Do we want C2? No, we don't want C2. I don't know why. It looks like we would. But anyway, 3 and 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. We don't want to. All right. This looks like our main back part. So it's going to go in this orientation. And then this guy's going to go on. So let's just clean that up. It's going to go on like this. Glue on there. Okay. 3 and 4 need to go together, so let's clean these up first. All right. So these two go like this. Pretty big and ugly looking, but whatever. And then they go on. It doesn't look like there's an up and a down. They look like they're both the same. So they're going to go like this, on here like that. So let's grab my other glue. that. Okay. And then we take this guy. And he also doesn't seem to have an up and a down, but he does go like this onto our 4 points here. Just like that. We'll glue on that. This is all kind of, you know, it's one of those things. This is detail that only me and you guys is going to know is there, because once this is assembled, this thing is gone. It disappears inside the nose cone, never to be seen unless the model somehow, some way gets destroyed, breaks apart, or something. And now we got our main dish, the actual radar array that goes on the front. Again, no up or down, doesn't matter. Goes under these 2 pins here. Just like so. And there is our radar assembly. Just like that. Ready to be painted. So, do that, and I'll grab my insignia white, and we're going to paint it. Yeah, we're going to paint it, and we've got a decal that's going to go on the front of it here, and actually this part here only is going to be I'm going to call it F15 radar green. It's basically the green that you see in all the inside panels on the F15s. They're calling for that same color green. Okay, so insignia white, where are you? Of course I don't have it out here. I don't have my insignia white ready. Insignia white. The actual color that they call out for is something like grayish white. This is pretty thick. I don't even hear the rattling yet. Do I even have a ball bearing in this? Oh, yep, there is. Wow, that's thick. Okay, let me get this shaken up here. Considering see now suddenly you can hear it shaking. This stuff should be nice and thin, but it's not. It's really thick. So I'm going to put a little bit of thinner in my airbrush cup first. Get my airbrush ready to go. Okay. I'm going to put a little thinner in the brush first, because I don't need a whole lot of paint to paint this. I'll just do enough, just like that. That's just enough. That's all I need. And do about that much of the white, and that's all I'm going to need. I'll use my pipette. Clean up my pipette, rinse that out, just so I don't leave the paint to dry inside of it. Okay, I do have my other camera set up for painting. So I think, let's make sure it's still working. Yes. Okay. Here we are. Hello. Okay, so I'll just paint this guy here. And actually, I'm going to mix this a little bit here first. Just to make sure my thinner is mixed with the paint. There we go. There we go. Good. Let's just paint this guy. The nice thing about this is you're basically sneaking up with the color on it, right? You don't really notice it until it's really starting to cover. And suddenly it's not gray anymore, it's actually turning white. But of course, this being the insignia white, it's kind of subtle. Now, why am I painting the top of it? Because I want to keep the color consistency when I paint the green later, which is more of a bluish green. I have it in Mr. Color. So there we go. We've got our guy all nice and painted now. He's white instead of gray. Yeah, he's white instead of gray now. So I will clean up my airbrush. You guys watching live, you get to watch me clean my airbrush. You guys who are not watching my live, well, you get to be the lucky ones, and I'll just skip right about here. Okay, airbrush is clean. It's done. And our radar dish is now insignia white. I'm gonna let that dry. What I really have to do next is I'm going to have to do some research online, and I'm going to have to figure out the color of that section on the nose there, where the cockpit is. I'm going to have to figure out what color that's supposed to be, because we've got that to put in, and we've got to put the cockpit in. Then we've got more pieces for the cockpit that have to go in there, all on top of that. So that needs to be painted first, right? And then what looks like we're going to be getting into is maybe some landing gear pods. Possibly, yeah, landing gear bays. That's going to be next time, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-paint all the landing gear bays so that we don't have to worry about that so much next time. It'll be more about just putting it together, right? So that's what I'm going to do. So this is where I am going to leave it for today, guys, and I want to thank you for watching and thank you for coming out. I would invite you to check out the description box down below and check out my links there. And you'd also notice that I've got a certain amount of subscribers down there. I would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button also, and hit the like button too if you like this stuff, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. I really appreciate it, and I invite it. So thank you again for watching. I'm going to do some research and stuff like that, and we will see you all in the next one.